Hello there. Today we are discussing somebody who lost their life in the city of Minneapolis. Recently, on Strawberry Ink True Crime, I covered the death of Renee Good, who died in Minneapolis. Now I will be discussing Alex Pretti, which you guys must already know. He is the nurse who died at the hands of immigration enforcement in Minneapolis. Alex Pretti's story begins long before the day he was killed. He had recently had a fun birthday on November 9th, and he's an Illinois native. He loved his home state, especially his hometown, Park Ridge, but he really identified as a citizen of Wisconsin, growing up in Green Bay and singing in the Green Bay Boy Choir as well as participating in Boy Scouts. He also had fun high school years at the Preble and obtained his high school degree in 2006 with good grades. After that, he moved to biology. He chose to focus on that field, and he graduated from the University of Minnesota in 2011 with a degree in biology, a bachelor's degree. But then, after those years of sleeping in Minnesota dorms and studying, he chose to go into nursing. In fact, he loved America so much. He loved the military especially, that he chose to focus on treating veterans and patients in crisis who have a PTSD as high as the ones of veterans. In 2014, Alex started working as a research assistant in the clinical research program of the Minneapolis Veterans Affairs healthcare system. And by 2021, he was a registered nurse in Minnesota, working in the ICU at Minneapolis VA Hospital. He was also a member of the American Federation of Government Employees. He was really into politics and was willing to get involved into politics. He also obtained a firearms permit within the state of Minnesota. Ever since President Donald Trump took office for his second term on Martin Luther King Jr. Day last year, 2025, immigration enforcement agencies such as ICE and Border Patrol have been extreme, deporting so many. ICE in particular has been showing up to supermarkets, schools, random places to check people who look like brown Mexicans and deporting them, sending them back to their country. They've also started doing it to black people who look either African or Haitian. There was even a factory that got raided, and many Asians were deported from there. These agencies have been judging by race, and ever since that president took office, about 32 people have died at the hands of the agencies, either in custody or when they are about to be captured. In December 2025, ICE launched Operation Metro Surge, a hardline immigration enforcement campaign in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and St. Paul. Trump later expanded this operation statewide, leading to more than 3,000 arrests and widespread criticism over warrantless arrests, aggressive clashes with protesters, and shootings. In particular, shootings from guns, spreading tear gas on the protesters. On January 7th, 2026, a day after the Epiphany, the first fatal shooting occurred in Minnesota. It was the one that killed Renee Good, who I just mentioned. This sparked mass protests, and days after that, a Venezuelan man named Julio Cesar Sosa Celis was shot in the leg but survived. He was shot by ICE. So, this nurse we started the episode with, Alex Pretti, He joined the protests against goods killing earlier in January, telling his parents he understood their warnings to be careful, but he still felt compelled to show up to the protests. He would look on Facebook or TikTok and see where the protests would be taking place and at what time. The protests were peaceful until ICE intervened more aggressively. On the morning of January 24th, 2026, Border Patrol and CBP officers were in the Minneapolis Whittier neighborhood conducting immigration enforcement near the 26th Street and Nicollet Avenue, less than 2 miles away from Alex's home. A man being pursued by agents ran into a donut shop whose employees locked the doors in order to protect him, refusing to let the agents enter. Therefore, the agents called for backup and grew increasingly aggressive towards onlookers, including Alex. Alex stood across the street, filming the agents with his phone and trying to direct traffic around the unfolding scene in order to keep the other protesters safe from being hit by a car. 2 other people started recording as well. Alex showed up in the videos. 2 agents approached the free filmers, Border Patrol agents. One of them shoved a protester wearing an orange backpack for no reason. No clear reason, just because he was in the way. Alex moved toward a sidewalk to try to help this shoved person. Then, an agent pushed a woman protesting to the ground. Alex stepped between the two and tried to assist both that had been harmed by the Border Patrol. He briefly placed his hand on the agent's waist, the one who had pushed a woman, and his other arm he put around the fallen woman in order to pull her up. At this point, the one with a backpack had been assisted by another agent into getting up. But this agent did not care about that person. The agent just wanted that person with the backpack to get out of the way to move over to Alex and harass him. One agent, the agent who Alex was grabbing by the waist, in order to prevent him from touching the woman further, pepper sprayed Alex. Alex put his hands up. One of his hands was holding his phone, and the other one was on the woman for protection. An agent shoved them both. They fell on the ground. At this point, Alex's arm was still wrapped around the woman he was helping. Alex tried to pull them away and get away from the scene. He did not make any threatening movement, did not use any threatening words towards the agents. Several of them dragged them backwards. The woman was able to get away, to get up and leave. But Alex was not. The agents forced him to the ground. They pinned him. They put his arms above his head in a position to arrest him. That one agent with the pepper spray continued spraying him again and again. Alex couldn't take it no more. He was not being aggressive and he was being sprayed with this painful spray. Therefore, he tried to get up, but that agent spraying him started striking him with the pepper spray canister. During the struggle, an agent removed a holstered handgun that was on Alex's hip. The agent started screaming, "Gun, gun," even though the weapon had already been taken from him. This was in order to try to have an excuse to kill him. A third agent, who had been facing away while trying to pepper spray the fallen woman, turned toward Alex after hearing that he had a gun. About 5 seconds later, this agent drew his weapon and fired at close range. His body was left on the ground bleeding for about 45 seconds. Another agent had jumped in to shoot 6 more times, so in total, Alex was shot 10 times. For no reason. He was not armed, he was not resisting. He was not being violent at all. One agent walked back to his body, knelt down, and said, "Where's the gun?" This agent did so on purpose in order to clear himself and the others out of any trouble. The agents were focusing more on counting how many bullets they struck Alex with rather than assisting him. There was a doctor protesting who informed them, the agents, that he knew about medicine, that he was a physician and could assist before EMS arrived. While they arrived, the agents blocked this doctor's way, not allowing treatment on Alex. However, they did then let the doctor. At first, they were not letting the doctor because they needed to see a physical medical license, but as protesters kept taunting them, they did have to let this doctor do the job. The doctor was the one conducting the CPR and analyzing the injuries. He was shot in the upper left chest and in the neck. There was still a chance to save him if he was treated in time. However, that did not happen. He died later that morning at the Hennepin County Medical Center in Minneapolis. He was transported there by the Minneapolis Fire Department. The agents did not have the courtesy to help out with that. The agents even lied to news reporters on the scene, saying that the person they shot was a 51-year-old aggressive man who had drawn a gun to them. None of that was true. That was just in order to make Alex Pretti look bad. The director of this operation, Gregory Bavino, made a press conference from Mount Rushmore, South Dakota, at the ice field office, supporting this shooting. Bavino claimed that Alex Pretti interrupted their operation into catching a criminal from Ecuador, Jose Huerta Chuma. He claimed Huerta Chuma was wanted for domestic violence and disorderly conduct. However, this person was not even in the area. The agents were not even looking for him specifically. They were just there to harass others, to chase them down, and to capture them because of the color of their skin and their appearance. This Ecuador suspect is still on the run, roaming the streets. Yes, he should be deported. But the agent, the director, doing this press conference, blamed that on Alex. The fact that this person from Ecuador committing crimes is still on the run is not the fault of Alex. Bavino, due to controversy, was removed from the operation. He has now returned to El Paso, Texas to continue his everyday job of managing the protection of the border. Bavino is speaking to lawyers representing the Border Patrol Agency. He has done numerous phone calls, and in the phone calls, he has mocked the prosecutor in Minneapolis, encouraging charges against the agents. If there is ever a court case about this, it will be covered on Strawberry Ink. Bavino has been mocking the prosecutor over his Jewish faith. After Alex died, ICE agents tackled a rapper who had been protesting. A rapper named Nerdbia. They put him into handcuffs, got on top of him as if they were playing football. They then took him away. His wife Sarah had a panic attack. Other protesters brought her inside in order to calm her down. The rapper later reunited with family but posted on Instagram saying that his personal phone has been stolen by ICE. ICE is there to do others dirty. The U.S. Department of Justice is currently investigating the shooting. Thank you for listening to this episode of Strawberry Ink. After learning about this story and even watching it live, watching it on television as well as TikTok, I have learned to not take everywhere from news reporters nor certain feds because they may be lying. Just like how they lied by saying that Alex Pretti was 51 and that he had been aggressive, aiming a loaded gun at the agents. Review the information accurately, take your time, be patient, take a deep breath in order to know what actually happened. Have a good rest of your day. Take care. May Alex and the others deceased due to the actions of these feds rest in peace.